Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can obviously tell from the title, I'm going to be ranking the Harry Potter books. Because this is the first video for Harry Potter I'm making on my channel, I'm going to make the disclaimer that I do not support J.K. Rowling or her views, and I don't encourage buying any official Harry Potter merchandise that the money from would go to her. I also acknowledge that there are definitely issues within the Harry Potter series, which I might talk about in a future video, but for today, I'm going to be talking on a positive note about a book series that has been very influential to my life. But yeah, I wanted to make that clear that I don't support the author or her views. So yeah, that said, let's get into the video. So I'm going to be ranking these books based on how much I enjoyed them and on how much they mean to me. This is not me ranking them on what I think is an objective level. I really don't think it can be ranked on an objective level because personal bias will always factor into it. But yeah, this is just my personal opinion of the books. So just getting that out of the way. Okay. For number 7, I am saying Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, it's not that I don't like Sorcerer's Stone. I love all of these books, and they're all very meaningful to me, and Sorcerer's Stone obviously started the whole thing. But when I reread it now, I notice a lot of things in the writing that weren't great back then. I mean, I still love the book, and I think the plot is very well done. I just don't think that it's on the level of the others in terms of writing, and since I myself am now a writer, that's something that I can't not think about in a book. Like, things like the point of view isn't super well established, and it drifts out of Harry's point of view at points, and it's also just very, simple plot-wise, so even though it obviously will always mean a lot to me, that one, is at the bottom. Again, I love all of them, so that's not saying that I don't like it. Next for me is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Now, I know that this one is a lot of people's favorite book, and a lot of people think it's the best one in the series. To be fully honest, I don't quite agree or think that's the case. The ending, with Voldemort coming back, is obviously very impactful and important and well done, but the book really does drag on in the middle. This is apparently because there was a plot hole that had to be fixed and that made the book much longer that they haven't revealed. And this kind of makes sense because there's a lot of things in the book that I just feel like didn't need to be there, and it just has points where it's sort of biding time, waiting to get to the big reveal in a lot of ways. So, while again, I still love all the books, this one, I felt like, even though it's not the longest book, I felt like it was the one where there was the most unnecessary stuff in it that just didn't really need to be there. Next for me is the Chamber of Secrets. It's pretty much kind of the same thing as the first book, where it's still in that kind of childish mode. It's better written than the first book, and I do love the plot, and it introduces Ginny, who, while she doesn't do much in this book, does become one of my favorite characters in the whole story, probably second to Hermione in the whole story. So, it does that, and, it's not as sophisticated as later ones, but still really good. So now, in the middle of the pack, we have the Order of the Phoenix. This book gets a lot of flack for how angsty Harry is, but he has every right to be that way and to have those views, obviously, given what he's been through, and I think it does a really good job of capturing, the experiences of being a teenager in that way. So that's really a plus for the book. And I think that while it is the longest, it doesn't drag on really to me. I feel like the plot of the corrupt government and the corrupt teacher in the school are all things that are very relevant to the real world, more so I think than some of the stuff in the other books, because most of us aren't going to encounter a serial killer in our life, but we are going to encounter people who use the rules as a way to try and control us or hurt us, and I think the 5th book really does a good job of showing how you can stand up against that, and against a government that maybe isn't having your best interest at heart, and I like that about it, and the whole order stuff going on. So next is my 3rd favorite book, is Prisoner of Azkaban. This one holds up surprisingly well against the later books in the series, because they really got kind of more sophisticated as time went on, but Prisoner really does have a lot to it. It's got the whole backstory of the Marauders, which is definitely what elevates it for me. Like, I was very disappointed the movie cut that out, and there will be a video about the movies at some point. But yeah, I really enjoyed getting to find out all the backstory about the Marauders and their lives at Hogwarts, and how that all like factors into the present day, and how the past informs the present. Those are all really interesting themes to me. A lot of that comes up in my book that I have written, actually, so I find that interesting, like, every time those themes are played upon. So yeah, I thought this is really interesting, and also just, a mystery that's really interesting and is not at all what you expect at the end. Like, did anyone think it was the rat? I sure didn't. So yeah. Number 2 is Deathly Hallows, which I thought is just, it's such a good conclusion to this story. Like, the final few chapters, the stretch of chapters from the forest again through the flaw in the plan is my favorite stretch of chapters in probably all of literature. Like, I just think it is so well done. Everything about that ending, Harry going to sacrifice himself, the conversation with Dumbledore, Narcissa lying to protect Harry, Molly killing Bellatrix, the final conversation between Harry and Tom Riddle, everything about that sequence is beautifully done. But even earlier in the story, like, the stuff, a lot of people knock them going camping for a lot of the story, but I thought that all of that really worked and was really, like, important for character development in the story, and had a lot of good emotional beats, and I just really loved that whole book and think it was really sophisticated and well done. And number 1, my favorite Harry Potter book and my favorite book is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So I absolutely adore this book. Obviously, it's not perfect. None of them are. No book is. But there's just so much in it that I love going back to and I love thinking about. I really, obviously, all of the stuff about Voldemort's past and the lessons that Harry has with Dumbledore is fascinating, and, like, learning about the enemy is really cool. When I first read it as a kid, I didn't really appreciate that part of it, but I did love the romance. And I know Harry Potter is not a romance story, and a lot of people don't like the romance. It's not like the romance is my favorite part of the series as a whole, but I love Harry and Ginny's relationship development in Half-Blood Prince, and their first kiss is one of my top 5 moments of the series, and I just love that. Obviously, again, that's not the only reason I love the book, but that's an element to it that I really enjoy. But I think what overall makes me really like the book is the feeling of them, like, living their lives while the war against Voldemort is going on, and they're, like, having their normal petty teenage things. The description of the book says that teenagers flirt and fight and fall in love, and I think that's pretty succinct description of what's going on. But, like, it's while you can feel the sort of darkness is, like, going all around them and sort of creeping into their lives, but the fact that they're still living their lives in the face of that darkness is something that I just really like in that book, and I think it applies to a lot of real world settings, and it's part of why that book is just so important to me. So yeah, that is my ranking of the 7 official Harry Potter books. We're not talking about The Cursed Child, but there might be a video on that at some point too. But yeah, so that's my ranking. Let me know what yours is down below in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, thank you. Bye.